are back. Good morning, TNT. This is Cup of Joe Season 2.
And we're here.
Good morning, Abil Jackson.
Good morning, Joel Vilfana. So happy to see you survive the World Cup.
I survived.
You survived?
I survived.
Where's your Argentinian flag and jersey?
It's all packed away.
For the next 4 years.
The next 4 years.
Joel, I seriously think you eroded our fan base with your blatant Argentinian support during the World Cup. Good grief, Joel.
The Brazilians probably a little upset, but I mean,
but that's about it.
But that's about it. They'll live. They'll get over it. They'll get over it.
All right, fair.
It was a nice World Cup. You enjoyed?
Sure.
I saw you getting involved somewhat.
I didn't really get involved. I was more entertained by the Facebook posts and such. The social media highlights of the World Cup were priceless. It was a comedy fest.
I actually enjoyed it.
I was well entertained at home.
Yeah. Interesting World Cup. As I said, it was one of the better World Cups that we've had in terms of quality football. And I know I'm boring you to...
No, I was about to say, so I'm told.
Yes, but it was one of the better World Cups in the quality of football that we've had, I think, for the in my lifetime. And I think my first World Cup that I remember would have been 1982 into 1986 kind of thing. And yeah, this one is up there.
Clinched it
This one is up there, yeah. So,
well, good.
Yeah, Brazil 2014 is over and done with, from one cup to the next cup.
Cup of Joe. I love it.
You like that?
And you have to say thank you so much to Brandit.
Yeah, for supplying us with all our
Cup of Joe paraphernalia. Yeah.
So we're waxing warm. This when I was leaving the house this morning, it's almost like my little Pompek. Her name is Baby.
Yes.
It's almost like her face was saying, okay, so this is happening again.
She realized.
And I think she realized that I was back in season 2 and I would be busy and I wouldn't have time for her. And
did she give you her blessing?
Yeah, but she gave me a little pout face. When I was leaving. Yeah, it's almost like she recognized.
But it's all for a good cause.
Yeah.
Yes, we're back. Get it? We have Cup for a Cause. We have Share a Cup.
That one went over my head.
It sailed straight over.
But I got it.
We have our experts as well as quite a few new segments mixing it up inside of season 2. So there's a lot to look forward to. A whole lot to look forward to.
What have you been up to though? I know that you had a bit of a challenge. I don't know if you want to share quickly with TNT.
I was involved in a vehicular accident. You know, we say all the time, be careful on the roads. We preach it all the time. And then suddenly it hits home and it comes full circle and you realize just how selfish people can be on the roadways of Trinidad and Tobago. So yes, I was knocked down on the highway. Every time I say that, people look at me like I'm a little bit crazy.
Yeah. You've told me a couple times and
it still hasn't registered. So yes, I suffered an injury or two. There will be no heels this season.
No high heels.
There will be no high heels this season.
Ladies, we apologize.
There will be flats.
There will be flats.
There will be flats, and you may catch sight of a brace or two every now and again, but you're just going to have to. We're just going to roll with the punches. That's what we're going to do.
You're in one piece, my dear.
And we thank God for that.
I thank God for that. I thank God that you are here with me for another season.
Amen.
And many, many more seasons to come.
That's what we say.
Obviously, your fulfillment on this earth has not come to its
This is what everyone keeps telling me.
So I just want you to bear that in the back of your head.
In my head.
Yes.
I still have Joel Villafana's work to do.
Yeah.
Season 2.
You have a lot still to do on this earth. All right. Tell us what's coming up inside our cup on this first premiere.
Well, as we get ready to take a look into our cup, we have to say thank you so much to the folks at Rani Flatbread. What's coming up inside the cup? Thanks to them, as we peek into a cup, we share a cup. It's like a flashback share a cup.
Yes.
With Allison Hennessey.
Yes.
It's a very, very special one. It's some old footage that Joel dug up out of the archives. It's very near and dear to his heart, and we're really excited to share that with you as we kick off season 2. We'll also get into our experts segment with Priya Gomes of she's an occupational therapist.
Yeah.
So she's talking about occupational hazards and recovery and all that good stuff. So you can look forward to that. Inside of Cup for a Cause, we're talking mental health in terms of teens and adolescents with Marina Torres, who is a child development psychologist.
Nice.
And finally, we have something very, very special that I'm really excited about. It's called the Spoken Word Spotlight.
Yes.
We are engaging some young spoken word artists who've been involved in a lot of open mic, free speech platforms over the last few months. And we have them here and they're going to share with us so you can meet our various poets inside of the Spoken Word Spotlight. Today we feature a young man by the name of LaShawn Emmanuel, aka Jimmy October.
So he's actually going to perform a poet. Is that what we can expect? Is that right? Are you laughing at me?
Yes, I am. Yeah. I am laughing at you.
Because these guys are performers, not so?
Yes, they are performers. So he is going to perform. Actually,
perform a poem?
Let me correct that. If I'm not mistaken, actually today is Zakiya Gill.
Oh, today
is Zakiya. We're scheduled to have Jimmy on the Wednesday.
Right, okay. So
yes,
today we're featuring...
they're all going to perform. It's going to be live performances.
Perform a poem?
Yes, but it's not just a poem though.
Okay.
You can't call what these people do just simple poetry.
Okay.
It really is an art
It's a little more than
It's
that.
a little bit more than that.
All right, okay.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Because I'm ready.
Let's get season 2 on the way, folks. So this is A Cup of Joe. When we come back, we have a very... So let me just put it in a little synopsis, Abeo, before we break. Allison Hennessey, we dedicated our very first season to her. She was a dear soul icon in TNT as far as I'm concerned, and one of the folks that I think will live forever and ever in our minds. We pay tribute to her by an interview that I conducted with her back in 2008, 2009, I believe it was, when I was then doing the sporting edition and morning edition on TV6, and I spoke with Allison Hennessey. When we come back from this break, we're going to play that interview for you in its entirety and reflect a bit on Allison Hennessey and her life here on A Cup of Joe.
Television became my passion. It's what I wanted to do. It's where I felt at home. It's where I felt I belonged.
Right.
So at any given day, you can become that person who would benefit from occupational therapy.
It's the exact same thing he's doing to me. And I know they say love hurts, but I don't think they meant physically.
Could make some Trini favorites any day with Rani flatbread. You give some tomatoes a roast, cook in oil and seasoning, 5 minutes at most. Give Rani a light toast, fill with choker, and be an epic host.
Now that's a Rani good idea.
One morning, Peter walked out to find every flower that he never stopped to notice. Every sunrise that he never watched, every football match he forgot to play with his son, and arrived at a cafe to find every conversation he never had with his father. And it was only then that Peter finally decided to wake up. Wake up to life. Nescafe. Nestle. Good food, good life.
We're the one who's always there to help you all of the way.
Systems that work for you as you live life each day. We're the one who makes it easier to.
We give personal attention, so make us your selection.
It's a real treat for me as I sit with one of the most respected individuals in my industry, a lady that I have personally admired for years upon years. This morning, in the VIP chair, she is a faithful supporter of Carib's Rugby Club. She is a world-class chef, I understand, believe it or not. But you may know her as the pioneering television broadcaster with the long-running midday talk show called Dateline. Remember that? I often refer to her as our very own Oprah Winfrey. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure I welcome to our VIP section this week the talented and versatile Allison Hennessy. Welcome to the sporting edition, Allison.
Joel, what an introduction. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Firstly, sporting or non-sporting? Joel, don't you think I ever played sport in my life?
No, I said I go into this very blind sometimes.
All right.
So I don't know if I'm guessing.
I'll tell you a little about it. But also the Oprah Winfrey, yes, I always tell people, but without the cash. Okay? When I read Oprah's books and I see the amount of money that she's made in life, I thought, wonder if I could have done that if I were living in a big country. Yeah. But no regrets about staying here in Trinidad and Tobago, none whatsoever. Sporting.
Sporting or non-sporting?
Sporting, I tried. I genuinely tried, but I found out very early that I'm an excellent spectator. I tried, have you ever heard of lacrosse?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse is a game, that's when I went to school in England, that was the first game they offered us.
Okay.
And it's a long stick that could be a cross between a hockey stick and a tennis racket.
Right.
And you literally put the stick against your stomach here, literally, and hold it like this. And you have to run, moving the stick like this when you have the ball. Okay. And then you literally send the ball up and you scoop it up.
Yes.
And you keep on going. But if you want to get the ball from me, my opposing person has to bash my stick. Right. But the first time they did it, I went, thank you very much.
That's
Here is a lacrosse stick.
That's not for Allison.
Then Grandpa sent us to private tennis lessons. Yeah. You know, tennis is lovely when you look at it on TV, but my tennis seemed to be spending time going to the net to retrieve the ball or going to the back of the court to find the ball. So that was the end of tennis. Hockey, when I came back to Trinidad, my 3 sisters and my mother played hockey. Right. My mother, in fact, was president at one time of Trinidad and Tobago Hockey Association. I think he was president, yes. And first day on the hockey field, they sent a ball to me, it hit my shin. I said, thank you very much. Do those children need a babysitter? I'll be the babysitter. So excellent spectator.
And I think based on that, because there's no doubt, despite that, there's no doubt that you have a passion for sport.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And again, it comes back to my mom. Yeah. We grew up in a single family with my mother, but thank God there was a male influence. My grandfather was there, and later on my stepfather, both whom I miss very much. They both passed. But Mommy, my early memories is Mommy and my grandmother, literally, they were the original Tanti Merles with a basket, and we would go from Port of Spain to Southern Games. We would go to cycling sports. We'd go to the Oval, anything that was happening. In fact, when we were at school at Holy Name Convent, we were dropped off to the Queen's Park Savannah after we went home and did our lessons very quickly, where there was football. And Mommy would come from work and meet us at the Savannah, the grandstand. And we'd always look at football. Or in another time, we'd go to the hockey field. Yeah. So we were always there. Sport was always important in our lives.
And now, you're a big rugby fan, Allison.
I love rugby. Ooh. I love not playing, again, spectator.
Yeah. So how is that? That's what I'm saying. So how did that love come about for rugby? Yeah?
Oh, my sister was living in Trinidad. She spent a little time in England, not as long as the rest of us did. And when I came back to Trinidad, her boyfriend was a rugby player. Played for Carib's Rugby Club, as well as Trinidad and Tobago. And I started to go to rugby with them. Then they broke up, and I continued going to rugby with him. Everybody thought I'd stolen my sister's boyfriend, but I promise you, I did not. I just, we just used to go to rugby. And from there, it was, Carib's Rugby Club, and it was a passion. I love the game. I love how the guys beat up on each other. But one of the more important things about rugby, Joel, if you know the sport and you know what it's all about after the game, it's about going to the clubhouse or going to wherever, the group meets. And the women and the men mingle and get together. And it's all, both teams who've just been beating each other up on the pitch get together and sing songs. And, it's a beautiful feeling of an after-game event that you don't get with a lot of sport.
But that's the beauty of most sports.
Yes.
I mean, when off the field, I mean, you see guys come together and just share a light moment.
Yeah, but they don't let the women in, you see. If you footballers, the football guys go and they do whatever they have to do.
Also the rugby guys let the women in?
The rugby guys, yeah, we ladies are part of the club, we sit and talk to them about the game, what nonsense they did, what brilliant moves they made, and you never feel as if you are intruding in their lives. Yes.
I didn't take that.
But as a supporter, you have to understand it's a man's game, it's a man's club, and therefore, if it is you don't want to hear certain things or see certain things, stay out. You can't be a prude.
Yeah, no. Allyson, as I said in the introduction, and I mean those things are as deep down in my heart as I can get. I grew up looking at you on television and admiring you. I need you to tell me.
Oh, Joel.
I need you to tell me, where did it all start for Allison Hennessey in the field of broadcasting?
A story that's been told, okay, but some people haven't heard it.
Yeah.
I'll try to make it short.
Yeah.
Went to school in England, my last 4 years of school, high school would be. Did very, very badly academically, but my mother was always very supporting and said, there's something for you to do. Don't worry about it. If it is that you can't get A and A minus like your sisters, don't worry about it. Something will happen. And literally, she encouraged me to go to the Cordon Bleu School of Cookery in London, which was really, I mean, now, years later, I realized it wasn't really the school I should have gone to if I really wanted to take cooking and catering very seriously. It was more of a finishing school for very wealthy girls, who needed to know what to serve when their husbands were entertaining, and also how to do it.
Right.
So I studied, but there was a little restaurant attached to the school, and they asked me to work there after, do a little teaching at the school. And when I came back to Trinidad and Tobago on a holiday, Hazel Ward Redmond, at the time she was Hazel Ward, asked me to do a demonstration on television. I did it, and Joel, I just did it.
Yeah.
And I never felt scared of the camera. I never thought, what am I doing here? And afterwards, somebody saw it and said, look, you've got to do a cooking program on television. It just mushroomed into cooking on television and then doing some advertising programs that we used to do. Then I went back to England, and when I started, every time I came back to Trinidad, they would invite me to stay and do something. And I think slowly but surely, television became my passion. It's what I wanted to do. It's where I felt at home. It's where I felt I belonged.
Yeah.
And one day, Salisha Ali, who was doing Dateline at the time, was ill, and they literally asked me if I would come and fill in for her. And I really thought it was an audition. So I went, I'll never forget, I had on alpagats. You know what alpagats are?
I'm not that old. You're
not that old? Okay, alpagats are leather soles with crocheted tops, looking like Chinese slippers.
Like a sandal. Like a
sandal.
Right, okay.
And I had that on, and I sat down and did an interview, and I thought they were just auditioning me. And afterwards I said to the director, so have I got the job? And he said, well, you just did the job. You've just been live.
Right. So they didn't tell you you were live?
Yeah. But when the boss came back, because the boss wasn't there at the time, Farouk Mohammed, he left me on air for a few days, and then he called me to his office and said, I don't know who threw you on that chair. And I said, well, they threw me, I bounced and I sat back down. And he said, well, I don't know if I want you there, but do it for 3 months and then I'll see what happens. And 3 months passed and 6 months passed, and he never called me. But he started to talk to me and send interviews for me, so I guess I was in. But it really was, they say if you sit in the lobby long enough, they will take you upstairs.
Yeah, and that's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah. So much to talk about, Allison. We have to take a short break, but we're going to come back. Stay with us. Allison Hennessey is in the VIP segment. We are coming back. The Sporting Edition is on.
They are best friends. They share everything. Experiences, moments, and adventures. They're always together. Protect them with Klim One Plus from Nestle. It's the only growing up milk with Prebio 1 to help protect them from gastrointestinal diseases. Your instinct is to love and protect him. Klim will do the same. Nestle. Good food, good life.
Why settle for a one-note cereal? Get more with Honey Bunches of Oats. 4 nutritious grains come together for more taste, more texture, more healthy satisfaction. Have a bowl of happy.
All right, we're back, and we have the ever-talented Allison Hennessey in our VIP segment this morning. And Allison, I just recognize that as well, that you recently received an award for all your long service in the media from the Trans-Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association.
Yes, Joel.
That must have been special.
Joel, was a wonderful surprise when I heard about it. A few months ago, some people started calling me, people who work in the media, and they were asking me very strange questions, and I couldn't understand, why were they probing into my life, and it just didn't occur to me at the time that it was because they were nominating me for this award. I was in London when I got the news that they had decided that I should be one of the recipients, and I feel truly honored because you can get awards from several people and persons and organizations, but this is like the people who are in your business have decided that they feel they want to honor you. So I am truly blessed, and I feel very, very excited. I still think about it and say, ooh, wow. That really happened to me.
Truly deserving.
Thank you.
With the hours that I'm sure that you would have spent, not only on camera, but in terms of production. And I can just imagine, Allison.
Yes. I know, because you see, people see us on air and they think, what a wonderful job.
Yes.
And I tell you, it is the most wonderful job. But sometimes it's difficult to even think, what happens behind the scenes and the amount of patience that you have to have and the amount of smiles that you need to smile on days when you're probably feeling very unhappy. I remember my stepfather passed. My mother called me 5 o'clock in the morning and said, Allison, Ken just died. And I said, I'm coming over. And I went over to the house and we did all that we had to do. My other sisters arrived. And then I think it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, I went, I haven't arranged anybody to do my program. And I left and I went down and I did my program. It was only after I was finished, I told Wendell, Constantine, Wendell, he knew my father as well. I said, Ken passed this morning. So I'm sure that, unfortunately, sometimes we have to put on that brave, smiling face when we don't want to be. But it's part of the business, and it's what you have to do.
What advice would you give young broadcasters now coming in and wanting to make a name for themselves?
Well, don't think about making a name for yourself, because I think this is where you could get into a lot of problems. If you're in the business of the kind of programming that I did, which was a talk show host, and I definitely draw the line. I never felt I was a journalist. I never did probing journalism. I never touched anything political. If it is that you want to do a program the way I did a program, it's about getting information out there to the public. Try and put yourself in the place of members of the public, and don't put yourself in the place of being a technocrat or a high intellectual. Just put yourself as an ordinary human being, which you are, and ask the questions that everybody wants answered. It's very simple. And try and forget everybody calling out to you and shouting your name and telling you how lovely you are and they love you, because that could make this get very big very fast, and you lose track of what you're supposed to do. So it's just really stay real. Stay real.
Stay real.
Stay real.
Stay real. Your sporting moments. I
Sporting spectator moments.
And sporting spectator, because not only that.
If you want comedy hour, I could tell you about my sporting moments.
But over the last 10 years, Allison, that I've been involved in the media, as I said, I've actually had the pleasure of seeing you working alongside on an assignment when Brian Lara returned and when the Soccer War. I've seen you covering these events, and so I know that they would be special to you. Tell me about some of the big sporting moments in the country that stood out to you.
Well, each and every one. The biggest one that I remember in the early days would have been Hazley Crawford.
Right.
Hazley arriving back in Trinidad and Tobago, I remember that. After that, it was Brian twice.
Yeah, Brian twice. Brian twice.
It was the Soca Warriors when they came in. It was all the different sporting events, all the big things that people had to come to Pioco International Airport for. I would be sent. But for me, my happy moments in sport is when I just happen to be there at the right time. Brian Lara, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I met Brian, Dwight and Russell together at the same time at Panorama. Panorama. Very early one morning when the North Stand was empty and they were much too young to be there at the time. But I met them, and in time we became friendly. And for me, one of my saddest moments, and I get choked up just thinking about it, I got a call from Brian one day and he said, how are you? And I said, if you ever want to see me play cricket, you better come to Barbados tomorrow. And I said, what? He said, you heard me? You better come to Barbados tomorrow. And I didn't understand what he was telling me at the time, but when Sir Brian Lara calls, you go. And of course, it was his last match.
Just before he retired.
Yes, it was the day he announced his retirement, actually. And I'm happy that I was there. It was bittersweet, but I'm really happy that I was there to see that. My bank balance looks a little healthier now that he stopped playing cricket, because I really used to like, as long as the West Indies were playing anywhere in the Caribbean, I could get time off. I will go, and even in England, because of my telling him, you know, I'm going to be in England whilst you're playing there. He would get tickets for us because the players are allowed so many tickets. So, you know, going to Lord's Cricket Ground and seeing the West Indies play cricket. Joel, have you been to Lord's?
I haven't. That's one of my...
Do yourself a favor. I mean, if you love cricket, you must go to Lord's Cricket Ground. It's just so different. It's so regal. Look.
And I haven't been, and my pause just raised there.
You have to go to Lord's. You have to go to Lord's. I just love it. So as long as it's happening, I'll go. I remember just seeing recently Leslie King passing. I remember the days of Mummy taking us to sports and seeing Leslie King and Roger Gibbon and all these guys who paved the way for people like Gene Samuel and Michael Phillips to go on to be, you know, to do well in international sport.
And you have a rich history in your head there, I'm sure, because you took us back there from to Leslie King, Hazley Crawford, and you came all the way down to
I could
Brian
just
Lara.
imagine. I could just imagine somebody at this early hour in the morning saying, "How old is that woman?" That woman really old? I was a little toddler at the time.
But it stood out in your mind. It stood out in your mind.
It's there.
When you look at not only sport, but in terms of what happens in the country now, because I mean, you would have seen and covered and see the country change over the years, Allyson. When you look at now, in terms of what's taking place on the surface in Trinidad and Tobago, what goes through your mind?
Joel, I will never give up hope. I will never give up hope for Trinidad and Tobago. I think we're going through a period that the country, we really, all of us, each and every one of us, no matter how much we love to have fun, there's nothing I love more in my life than having a good time. But I think that there are many of us who've reached a certain age, or even people like your good self, people in the media, we have to focus on really getting a sense of values back and taking away some of the anger that exists. You know, I get really angry every time I meet somebody and say, "Hello, how are you?" And they say, "Gill, you know how things are." And I go, "Yes, it's wonderful." Okay? Even if it is not, and you don't have to bury your head in the sand, but I feel that if everybody just has this negative idea that they want to pass on to the next person and can't wait to tell 20 other people, there's a sense of people walking around like this, whereas Trinis used to be, you know, I used to know Trini by the walk, you know. They used to have a special walk. And now it's almost like a anger on their faces and just looking after themselves and not caring about the person. When I stop sometimes to let somebody out in traffic, the person behind me blows their horn, you know, in anger because I have stopped. And what I want to get out of my car and say to the person behind me, in 10 seconds or less, we are once again behind the car I just let in, and you are right behind me. It's taking 10 seconds to just be nice. Why is it you can't see to be just a nicer person than you think you are? And that's one of the things. So I'm not depressed about Trinidad and Tobago. I feel that we're going through a period that needs all of us to address. But what is not lost, Joel?
I'm coming by the restaurant soon.
You're looking for a free meal?
I'm hoping that I need to come by and taste.
Maybe a reduction in the price. Things are too hard these days. Can't give it away free.
Allyson, it's been a pleasure. Time just runs out. And it's really
Time has run out already?
Time's run out
already. No, and I was just going to show you my sporting ability. Next time.
Next time. And I'm going to probably have you next time.
I had my snakes and ladders and I was going to show you how good I am. Thank you, Joel. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Allyson. It's been really a pleasure
Lovely.
for me. All right, Allison Hennessey in our VIP segment, folks. A lady that, as I said, I have grown up and admired for years and years, and it was really a pleasure. My pause still racing here. All right, Allison Hennessey, I want to thank her very much for dropping by. We're coming back. The Sporting Edition is on.
Want to know what you can do with Rani flatbread? You give steak a slice, lay pieces on Rani, sprinkle spice, add grated cheese and sweet peppers with a dice, and finish by rolling it up real nice.
Now that's a Rani good idea.
There's really one bank you can depend on. One bank that leads the way. Technology and systems separate us from the rest. Republic gives only the best to you. We give personal attention, so explain for your inspection.
And here we go. Let's get this show on the road. We're starting with an expert this morning here on A Cup of Joe. We are dealing with an area of expertise that is not very much touted about. It's called occupational therapy. I'm about to learn about it myself. I have an occupational therapist, one of our very own here in TNT, Miss Priya Gomes. She is the chairperson of the Trinidad and Tobago Occupational Therapy Association, and we're going to get some information and some know-how about what is exactly occupational therapy. Priya, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let's first get the definition. Occupational therapy.
Okay, occupational therapy is an allied health profession where we work with persons of all age groups, of all disabilities, trying to get them to live as independently as possible. So we will utilize various modified techniques or provide adaptive equipment to help them do the things that they need, want, and are expected to do. For instance, the activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, driving, work activities, what your actual job is, and then leisure activities. So whether that's playing a sport, going to the movies, entertainment, so anything.
So it's helping the disabled among us to function as normally as possible. Am I?
Not only the disabled.
Help me if I'm incorrect. Huh?
Not only the disabled, because at any given day you can become somebody who has had an injury or some type of disability. You have people who are born, obviously, with some type of injury or disability, or an acquired injury. Whether you've been in a motor vehicle accident, you're playing football, fell, had a fractured hand. You might have suffered from a stroke. So at any given day, you can become that person who would benefit from occupational therapy. The misconception is that occupational therapy has to just pertain to job related, but it isn't. Anything that occupies your time is considered your occupation. So if you have any injury or disability that's going to affect your ability to partake in those occupations, that's where we come in.
Right, so occupation, as we know it, is not necessarily your job.
Right.
Is as wide as what? As anything that occupies your time as...
Right, so it does include your job activities.
Right.
If you have an injury that's going to prevent you from being able to do your job, whether it's a secretary or, holding a camera, we will come in and we look at the client in their space, and we make modifications. So we will do work assessments for persons to make sure that their workstation is ergonomically set up to not only restore but to prevent injuries as well, because many people suffer from repetitive strain injuries. Secretaries, hairdressers, anything that's repetitive motion that you're doing for an extended period of time, and if you're doing it with improper body mechanics, you're at risk for getting an injury. So we will come and look at a workstation and make modifications, whether it's the height of the computer, maybe providing a better chair with armrests, positioning of the keyboard, etc. We will work with, so that is just work related, but we see from babies, premature babies, all the way to hospice care, right? Hospital settings, nursing homes, school systems, outpatient clinics. So any area that you are in, that's where we will come in, and it's very client-centered. So no two people, even though you may have the same injury, may end up getting the exact same type of therapy because your occupations are going to be different.
Right. And the association also spends time with the client, as you describe them, in terms of probably training, because this would be something new to them. They have to learn. You all spend that time training them how to use the equipment and so on?
Well, the Trinidad and Tobago Occupational Therapy Association is a professional association to support occupational therapists by providing workshops, continuing ed opportunities, so that the therapists who are working in Trinidad and Tobago, who all have to be licensed and registered with the Council of Professions related to medicine,
right,
that they have the highest standards, so that when we are coming home to see our loved ones, we have the education and we have the expertise to come and do that. So not only do we obviously treat the client, but we treat the family members, the caretakers who will be involved in that person's therapy.
I want to quickly deal with Team Hope. I saw that you guys also have a little extension of the association. I just love the acronym. How ordinary people do extraordinary things. That's an association that you guys also, an arm of the association.
Right, so Team Hope is our community-based advocacy and awareness program in an effort to get the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago involved in occupational therapy in terms of educating and information, so that they are aware of what occupational therapy is and how it can benefit their loved ones who may need it at some point. So what we do is usually this is our 4th year. We've just concluded our 4th session, and we take about 50 ordinary people. We teach them about occupational therapy, so that they could help to advocate and raise awareness for the profession. We have an extraordinary goal, and this past year it was completing the Rainbow Cup Triathlon.
Right.
And then the third part of it is a fundraising aspect. The athletes who signed up, or the ordinary people who signed up with us, all raise a certain amount of money for the association that goes towards hosting workshops, attending conferences, disability awareness campaigns, etc., to get the occupational therapy out there to the community.
Yeah. All right, let's go through some of the tools that you brought along. This one, let's explain. This one is?
So this is a long-handled shoehorn. So a lot of times persons who may have had back surgery, hip replacement, they may have certain restrictions in terms of movement. So after hip replacement, the doctor may let you know no bending of the hips past 90 degrees. Which means now trying to reach down to your feet becomes difficult. So this is just a long-handled shoehorn that will make putting on a shoe easy.
Nice. This simply is, I suppose, is a squeeze.
Right. So we're working on strength and range of motion, trying to get back your fine motor coordination.
Right.
So this would be just a therapeutic device that we would use to help strengthen your grip and range of motion.
Right. Good.
This is your long-handled reacher.
Oh, right, okay.
So same thing, it can be used as a dressing aid.
Right.
So putting on pants, underwear,
this is
socks.
like if you can't stretch or you can't.
Right, so you can't bend, or for elderly, clients who, you don't want them having to reach up top on, a high cupboard every time, or using unsafe practices, climbing a stool. This, you can reach something in a high cupboard, or something very low down, so you don't have to bend or bend over all the time.
And this is?
One nice feature at occupational therapists, we do customized splints. So for somebody who may have had a fracture or a tendon injury, etc., we use splints to help with healing, positioning. Right, so this is a wrist cock-up splint. So somebody who may have had a carpal tunnel surgery or a fracture, we allow use of the fingers, but they need some kind of support. Right, so we do customized splints for patients as well.
Right.
This here is a very cool contraption. This is a sock aid. So again, for that person who may not be able to reach down to the ground, we don't always want family members doing everything for us. I mean, occupational therapy is about trying to get people to live as independently as possible. So with this sock aid, we would put the sock onto the edge of this, hang it down to the floor, and then this long handle allows them to now slide.
Pull the sock up.
Yes, so your foot would be in here, and as you pull, the sock would come off onto your foot.
All right, and you have a demonstration that I want to quickly go through.
Yes.
That this is You want me to put one of those glasses?
Yes, so one of the things we want to just illustrate, we're going to pretend that you have some type of visual impairment.
And these glasses have a little...
Yes,
greased.
a little, Vaseline to simulate the activity.
Right.
So whether it's somebody who might have had glaucoma or is visually impaired.
Right.
So what I have here is just a little pattern, right? I have a pegboard.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you very simple task to replicate this design on your pegboard.
You serious?
Yes.
Yeah.
So exact same colors in your exact same places.
Right. Yeah, well, okay, but I'm not sure what's in there, right? But so in other words, this is now showing that the person who is visually impaired. Oh gosh, where are going there?
This is the difficulty that they may be going through on a daily basis.
Right.
So a lot of times when the association is invited to various health fairs or career days at schools, we try to do some interactive activities so people can get a better understanding.
Right, I understand.
Almost like in their shoes a little bit.
Right, yeah.
So there's a little more sensitivity and appreciation for persons who may have disabilities and what they may have to struggle and go through on a day-to-day basis.
All right, Priya, we ran out of time, unfortunately. I know you also wanted to get me in an outfit.
Yes, I think you did that for spite.
I know. we're gonna try that, but I just want to let folks know if they want to get on to the association and need help, it's ttota.info@gmail.com. If you want to get onto the therapy association, the Occupational Therapy Association, they're also online, www.ttota.com. They're also on Facebook. Check it out. Priya Gomes is one of our local occupational therapists here. She is the chairperson of the organization. Feel free to contact her for any assistance that you may need. All right, we're taking a short break. We're coming right back. The Cup of Joe continues. This is our premiere episode of season 2.
There's really one bank you can depend on. Friendly service every day. There's really one standard of treating you like you deserve to be. Yeah. Republic gives only the best to you. We get personal attention, so explain for your inspection.
Hello there. I'm sure you recognize him, but you may not know me. I'm Mr. Peanut's stunt double. I used to go by Mr. Peanut Butter, but somebody thought I was infringing on his trademark. So now I have to go by Doug. Peanut Butter Doug. Roll it!
Action! Cut! Action! Cut!
Amazing stuff. You paying attention over there? That's called acting. That's what separates the real actors. I'm okay. Introducing Planters Peanut Butter. Naturally remarkable.
Hey, welcome back. We're continuing in a thought-provoking mood on this Monday morning here on A Cup of Joe. And we're dealing with our Cup for a Cause segment where we're focusing a lot on teen adolescents mental health. That sounds a bit heavy, but it's an issue that I think needed to come to the forefront. And we have with us Marina Torres. She is a child developmental educational specialist right here in TNT. Marina, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let me first offer you something to drink. What can I get you to drink?
Something non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoholic.
Mint. With mint.
Minty non-alcoholic drink. Yeah. All right. Marina, let's get down to mental health with teens. Is that a major issue in TNT? Would you say, or is it something that probably we overblowing a bit?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's a major issue because I don't have the statistics to confirm that it's a major issue. My observations and reading research done by different specialists in this country, so Jared Hutchinson, Professor Jared Hutchinson, and other people who, Dr. Sandra Reed, it is an area of concern. We are more aware of teen mental health than we were before, because parents are more educated, they're more aware of its use, because people are not hiding information as they used to, though they still are, and because more teens are aware of what is outside there in the media because of the access they have through their cell phones, through mobile internet, they can take everywhere. And so they are willing to experiment with different things when they have their depressive moods or when they have issues and frustrations that they're dealing with.
Depression among teens. Thank you, Chiano. Depression among teens is something that I always wonder, because that has to be a reality. But if I'm a teen, I am not going to come out openly and say I am feeling depressed. I think that mentally I am not. How do we assess? How are we able to do that, especially among your profession?
Well, I want to go back a bit in saying that generally parents and teachers and people who deal with teens know that they go through different stages. If you go to, let me give you a quick example in my church. The catechists who do confirmation classes would seek advice, and as a matter of course, some churches deliberately train those catechists to, not just in catechism, but to work with teens, because they understand, oh, they might be hard to deal with, or they may not want to talk, or they might act funnily. So we have a sense that teens are going through changes in their bodies. We used to think it was only hormones, but now with all the brain research we know that teens have a lot of confusion going on because their brain is dumping cells that haven't been used or of no use to them and producing trillions of cells that they would need to be prepared for young adulthood. So because of that, teens go through a lot of confusion. They also go through identity issues. Who am I? Who do I belong to? Who are my family? Who do I want to be? Do I fit in? They go through a lot of changes. So many adults are aware. The extent to which they are aware or what to look for is where the issue comes in. We also have the issue of SCA just about the time when teens are on the cusp of puberty, 11 to 13 in girls, 12 to 14, 15 in boys. And so our teens are dealing with a major milestone, getting into what we consider a good school at a time when their body is changing, and if their body is beginning to change, because some teens their body hasn't changed yet, but it's beginning to change. And young people have pains, they have feelings, they have teary moments. They also go through the issue that everybody's changing, I'm not, or I'm changing and everybody's not. So there are those issues that cause them to begin to question themselves, or to feel funny, or to worry about whether they fit in, or whether they've met the standard they're supposed to meet. All my friends have gone to a good school, I have not. I am going to a bad school, my friends are going to a good school.
So how, as a parent, let's say as a parent, you recognize that in your child, that okay, one way or the next he or she is not adapting to the changes that as the way they should. How do you deal with that at that point?
As a parent, one of the key things is knowing about development. What stage is my child in? What do I notice? What am I noticing? Long before trying to go through puberty, there are things that parents need to notice. Very often parents would bring a child in who they think has suddenly become aggressive, have suddenly begun to tell lies, have suddenly sneaking up in the night to watch porn on TV, or sending texts to some girl at 10, 11, and they wonder, well, when did that happen? Why did that happen overnight? It's not happening overnight. It's happening at the stage that their body and brain is going through the same. So the key thing is parents need to know about development. What stage is my child in? Where is my child? Some children don't show any signs. They are naive as ever, and they're very attached to mommy until 13, and then suddenly parents say, where did my baby go? Or practically overnight. So know the stage your child in. Read. There's a lot of information on the internet, and there are newsletters and locally, Parenting TT and a couple others that do provide information on teen development as well as other areas of development.
Can that depression in young teens and even older teens really get that serious that can turn into suicide?
Well,
suicide tendencies?
There are precursors that can cause that to happen. So a child from a very early age may have particular developmental issues that, if not dealt with, can lead that child to become more affected by changes. There are also issues that may happen in the family. So separation. Separation could simply mean that daddy works out of the home and they only see him certain times of the year. Separation can mean that daddy and mommy don't live together, so we have to be moving back and forth. Separation can also mean that mommy and daddy has gone through a serious separation and there has been conflict. And some children will deal well with that, but a child may be born more likely to respond very badly. So there are things that can cause a child to be more at risk for depression and to be more at risk for thinking of, my life is not worth it, I don't belong here. But there are children who will tell you, I don't love you anymore, I don't want to live in this family. There are children who pack bags and run away, but they are not necessarily going to be depressive or suicidal, but they may need help with dealing with whatever stresses that they're experiencing.
Yeah. So I think we've dealt with the awareness factor.
Yes.
Let's talk about support. So there is a child that the parent would have spotted and said, okay, this child obviously needs a little more help than even I may be able to give him in terms of support. Are we equipped in trying to be able to for that sort of support system?
Yes, we are, but not enough. So there are things that parents can do. Parents need to have family time where we can sit and talk about what's on your mind. What are some of the things that are bothering you? What are some of the things you'd like to tell me? You can do that at the dinner table on a Sunday. You can do it Friday night, popcorn time, watching TV just before you put on the TV. And you can have a book where you write things down, or you ask children to write things down. Parents can also do simple practices. There's a conflict, let's stop. Take some deep breaths. Let's just breathe deeply, 3 deep breaths. Let's everybody try to calm down, because mommy clearly needs to calm down too. We all know that.
Yes.
And everybody takes a deep breath, and then mommy has a book and she gives everybody a chance to speak. Do not make a decision, write it down. And then you may find at that point you need to take each child individually. Now people will say, where am I going to find that time? We need to make the time. Too often we are too busy trying to get the dishes washed, trying to get to work, trying to prepare for work, doing work at home. And that is adding to the stress that children feel, and it affects their ability, their willingness to communicate to us, because we're busy. So children as young as 8 or 9 are telling me they're crying in the bathroom. And we are seeing more boys cutting themselves as opposed to when we used to see more girls cutting themselves. We're seeing boys, young boys and teens cutting themselves and using it as an option. So I hear girls saying, this boy says he cuts himself, but they don't believe it. They think he's just doing it for attention. Now, why would he choose to do it for attention? There's something that is going on that makes him feel that he needs to do it. We're also seeing children isolating themselves from other children. So that teachers do a good job of reporting that. It is really important for parents to respond to it. That when they hear that your child is isolating themselves, not mixing in the group, I need help. Whether you talk to your priest, there are churches that have counselors, but sometimes you need to go to a professional and say, I need some advice on this. How do I handle this?
And you need to talk about it.
The child needs to be seen as well, so you can get a child's perspective on it.
Yes. And there are, as I said, you are available, Marina, to get out there and speak to you if it is that you so desire.
I can see people privately. I also do group workshops for teens and for parents, so that they can know how to recognize, and there are things parents can do and to be aware of, so that they can know when to seek help.
Right. Let me throw that number there out to get on to Marina. You can call 483-4050, 483-4050. That's 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Also visit the website parentingtt.org. You can call 664-1520 if at all you decide or determine whether your child needs that extra help, just to probably something is not happening right mentally with him, and it is a serious issue that parents need to take very, very seriously. We're taking a short break here on A Cup of Joe, and we're coming back. A lot still to come on the show.
Maria's jeans, with her since college.
Sarah's dress, always her best party mate. Laura and her blouse, friends through 2 kids. Want to keep fitting into your clothes? Try Fitness. Delicious crunchy flakes made with whole grain, which can help you maintain your figure. Fitness. Keep on zipping.
All right, welcome back. And on this Monday, our premiere for our season 2 segment, we want to introduce what we are now going to call the Spoken Word Spotlight. It's a segment that both Abiyo and I feel very strongly about in terms of bringing forward the youth of our society and what they have to say, and they do have a lot to say. Abiyo, we have a young lady here that we're introducing this morning.
Yes, she is one of a cast of young people that we've put together for this season. Her name is Zakiya Gill, and we're starting with some woman power. Whoop, whoop. That's what's up. And she has been doing this for quite some time. She's a very gifted young lady, but I won't tell you very much about her until after we hear what she has to say.
Okay. There are gifts hidden in this little package?
Little package, indeed.
Zakiya,
all right.
The stage is yours.
I am Zakiya Gill. The piece I'm about to do for y'all is called Bittersweet. Right now I'm talking to myself, but I ain't even hearing me. It's like my voice of reason ran away with my sanity. And by rehearsing these lines in these mirrors, it would not change my destiny. As every time I get the urge to leave, he grabbed me by my weave and tell me without me he can't breathe. I guess my love is his oxygen. But another day in this house with this man is like inhaling nitrogen. I wish I could be filled with helium and never return to this place again. This love is suffocating me, paralyzing my strengths and crippling my beliefs. Battered and bruised with broken wrists, split lips have me considering slit wrists, questioning his ideology. He brought me roses again. He kept using reverse psychology, a concept even Sigmund will label far from reality. He looked me in my eyes and told me if I didn't have all this contention and all this strife, he wouldn't have all this animosity. I don't think this is what Singer Sandra meant when she said it's best I die with my dignity, when in reality I'm just trying to live. Call me Miss Lovelicks, addicted to his kicks. But the blood that gushes from my nose can't even fill the void in my heart that is big as this galaxy. Right now I'm stuck in a relationship that is bittersweet. And if you can listen to my heart, you can hear is it broken bitter. No one but these 4 words could hear these muffled screams, and after another ordeal, he say he's just reacting to my many insecurities. It's the same thing he saw his dad did to his mother. The exact same thing I went through with my stepfather. The exact same thing Miss Celie went through with Mr. Albert, Chris Brown, Rihanna. The exact same thing motivated Tina Turner melodies is the exact same thing he's doing to me. And I know they say love hurts, but I don't think they meant physically. And I'm here standing in the mirror talking to myself. Maybe that love would be the death of me. Thank you.
Whoa.
Zakiya, you can't expect me to come on set with a dry eye and a straight face after a performance like that.
That was deep, and I think I even saw the deep-seated emotion come out. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I have been in performance since 14, but doing spoken word, I would say only 3 years now.
3 years now. Spoken word, this style of spoken word. But she's what I would call the consummate performer, because it was like every fiber of her being was involved in that performance.
And I know you say never ask a woman her age, but how old are you?
24.
24.
I want to get, she's performing since 40, so I want to try and get, 24.
So this is a young lady who actually is she makes up one of the One Mic spoken word team. She's also been a part of the free speech movement. And you know, the whole spoken word spotlight is about showcasing young artists and young people who obviously have a lot to say and views on pressing social issues. And we thought it's important that this season, there's so much. I mean, last season we did sweet TNT and all the things that makes TNT sweet. And we thought this season we would focus on some of the things that some people would rather turn a blind eye to. So we thank you so much, Zakiya, for sharing with us this morning.
Another thought-provoking piece. I just love the line, love hurts, but I don't think it's supposed to be physical.
No, it's not supposed to be. I don't think. And it's amazing. We actually spoke a lot about mental health issues today, you know, and this is a form of emotional abuse, which could result in detrimental mental health symptoms and triggers and all that kind of stuff. So thank you again. Before we go, I know that was a lot to digest. It was a lot to digest. But before we go, we want to remind you, if you want to touch base with us, you can find us on Facebook at A Cup of Joe TT, or Cup of Joe TT. And if you want to send us an email, you can send it to acupofjoett@gmail.com.
Yeah. Zakiya, keep speaking. Don't
stop.
Don't stop.
Don't
keep
stop.
speaking. The spoken word spotlight here on A Cup of Joe. We are wrapping up our show for today. I'm on this camera, yes, and we will see you back here on Wednesday as the show. We had a very serious show today, Abio, but it's going to get a little wild on Wednesday. So join us Wednesday morning right here on A Cup of Joe on TV6 at 10 o'clock in the morning.